A very good afternoon, and thanks for clicking on to the Friday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. Before we get to the video, please like, share, and subscribe. It is the final video of the week. Of course, no video tomorrow, but I will be back on Sunday with the all-important global weather and climate report. I will be looking at the upcoming Indian monsoon season, the potential of a suppressed monsoon this season, concerns of drought. Looking at the Indian Ocean dipole, the Manjulian oscillation is now shifting slightly, and we are seeing an alteration in the global pattern with, of course, the development of the El Nino also, and indeed the record warm North Atlantic sea surface temperatures, what influence that may have as we go down the road. These are the current temperatures. Another very warm day out there indeed. I know people are starting to get a little bit antsy when it comes to the temperature being so high for, well, I say for so long, but of course, many people don't like heat. We're not overly accustomed to sustained mid to high 20s, knocking the door of 30 for a period of 10 days or so. But yeah, if you like the heat, make the most of it for now. Certainly, it looks as if we are going to see a breakdown, quite a substantial breakdown as we push through the upcoming weekend. So, like I said, these are the current temperatures. This is the current sea surface temperature anomaly, and of course, very, very warm compared to average surrounding the British Isles, thanks to persistent area of high pressure across this region of the world has allowed a lack of upwelling of sea surface, and therefore we've seen the buildup of warmth. So I suppose there's three main areas of abnormally warm water at the moment. Of course, the development El Nino against the South American coast. We've got some very warm waters over the Sea of Japan, as you can see here, and of course the North Atlantic, anywhere from the main development region of the Atlantic up the eastern side and surrounding the UK, and of course back to the west. Of course, we initially, second half of May, early June, seen that area of high pressure persist to the west of the UK, keeping things fairly cool across the east, slightly warmer across the west. Now, of course, we've seen the shift over towards Scandinavia that has allowed the door to open to more an ingestion of warmer, more humid air, of course, from the south. But we are seeing some changes taking place. This is, by the way, the current sea surface temperatures around the UK, and really this is quite warm for this early in the summer, of course. If I can get to the right chart, it would certainly help, wouldn't it? So, yeah, these are the current sea surface temperatures surrounding the UK according to meteoseal.com. You can see here 16s and 17s quite widely around the UK at the moment here. Some little bit of upwelled water here through the Irish Sea, the North Channel, between Northern Ireland and Scotland, and indeed on the eastern side of England as well, where we're seeing a little bit more of an easterly wind, kind of just allowing that surface. But then 13 Celsius versus 16 Celsius, so you've got a 3-degree temperature difference. Looking at the situation with regards to the Manjulian oscillation, remember we had tremendous heat, drought conditions over southeastern Asia. That was when we had a suppressed Manjulian oscillation, allowing dark oranges to be stationed right over Southeast Asia. That's been enhancing a lack of rainfall and incredibly high temperatures. But we have seen a change. If you notice in recent global weather and climate reports, I've not mentioned as much about Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar, Vietnam being in the kind of 40 to 45 Celsius range, nighttime temperatures stuck at 30 or above. We've not been mentioning just as much about that because we've had a little bit more relief. The Manjulian oscillation has shifted a wee bit across to this region of the world, so we're enhancing showers and thunderstorms a little bit more over Indonesia and the southeast corner of Asia. We've got a lot of widespread sinking, as you can see here, over Africa and Europe at the moment here, and probably contributing to the higher than average pressure that has been up until now. Further north, we've had a lack of Azores high pressure over the source region, over the Azores itself. It's been displaced to the north. But what is going to be interesting is as we see a little bit of a shift taking place. Now, this is a tweet, and quite often I refer to James's tweets, James Peacock. The Magellan Oscillation has just made it into phases 4 and 5 before becoming inactive. It's going into what you call the null phase, which is basically it enters the center of the chart here, which means it's not as amplified. We don't have as much influence overall in terms of the pattern, but that this null phase going from phases 4 and 5, which tends to be quite a warm phase actually for Europe, what happens is we have the biggest change is actually going to be, as he says, in the Arctic region. At the moment, we've got some quite high latitude blocking across the top here, so stretching from the top of North America through Greenland and to the north of the UK, we have got above average heights over the next week or so. What we are going to start to see is that area of low pressure to the southwest of the UK and Ireland start to migrate a little bit more northwards, and that is changing the overall upper pattern. Now, of course, up until now, we've had a lot of disturbed weather over the central portion of Europe, keeping temperatures at bay, but also increasing the flood risk anywhere from Iberia. That is now easing. And what we are starting to see is we're going to start to see as that area of low pressure moves northwards. Let's try and get back to the chart here. So as this area of low pressure, it should be an area of high pressure. You notice here we've got an area of high pressure now starting to show up at the surface to the west of Spain and Portugal. What is going to happen is this area of low pressure is going to kind of lift up a little bit further towards the region between Iceland and Scotland, and we're going to start to see higher pressure and warmer conditions building over southwestern Europe. But that is also going to then start to migrate into the central portion of Europe, increasing the temperature. Serbia, Malta, parts of the Balkan region has yet to see 30 Celsius. Unusually late for this time of the year to not see a first 30 Celsius in this region of the world. And our friends Milos in Serbia has been posting some tremendous videos of flooding. Look at this here. This is in several parts of Serbia where we've had just relentless rainfall in this region of the world, and that has led to some pretty devastating flooding. This is another tremendous video. Massive flooding, and of course lower temperatures as a result of that. So of course it's all thanks to the position of high pressure to the north, lower pressure to the south. Look at the mess here, even as of 3 o'clock this afternoon. Tremendous amounts of shower and thunderstorm activity over the Balkan region, migrating northwards, Central Europe, up into the Baltic region. We've had a lot of disturbed weather as well. But it's as we play through this loop here, folks, you see that area of low pressure starting to edge closer and closer to the UK. But that is essentially pulling hot, humid air up from Africa over the Mediterranean basin and into the central portion of Europe. And of course, we'll need to watch out for how much warm, humid air we get into the UK. We will entrain warm, humid air. It will become a lot more sticky over the weekend thanks to this low cycling that air northwards on the east side of the low. But what we see is as we continue to play through this GFS loop, now the GFS has been consistent at developing an actual area of low pressure. Notice the center of this low always stays to the west. High pressure over the continent keeps that low further west. But you notice here that we've got this surgence of warm moist air that then lifts up over the British Isles and actually tries to produce a flabby area of low pressure that enhances persistent heavy rainfall, thunderstorms, and very, very unsettled conditions through the course of the weekend and in the early portions of next week. All the while, watch how the low continues to lift further and further north. By the time we reach Tuesday of next week, according to this model run, the GFS, the centre of the low is now between Scotland and Iceland. Very different to what we've seen up until now. And therefore, you have to then look back to what's happening with the change in the Magellan Oscillation Remember, there is a lag period with regards to the response, the eastward migration of the suppressed and enhancement of the shower and thunderstorm activity over the equatorial region. But you notice here, right, if we look at the situation with regards to the upper air pattern, so this is the upcoming 6 to 10 day period. Remember, I showed you the above normal heights further north. Look at the change. Now all of a sudden we've got this negative over the North Atlantic, over Greenland, rather than being positive, and that's the response of the phase 4 into 5, and then weakening in that phase. That then shifts the upper air pattern across the northern hemisphere, and we see quite a dramatic change in the Arctic region, and in turn we then change the upper air pattern in our part of the world here. So some very interesting developments taking place. You notice here that in 6 to 10 day off the GFS ensemble, we've got, of course, the positive over Europe, the negative a little bit further to the west, but that means that we increase the chance of seeing not only surges of heat from the south, but also instability, showers, thunderstorms, more unsettled conditions potentially further west and further north, as opposed to having high pressure to the north. That has been the case for so long now. So some interesting shifts in the overall pattern. Remember my forecast, high pressure north, low pressure to the south during the month of June. Then we potentially see a shift in the area of low pressure further north. What that may do is it may work with this abnormally warm water, enhancing the low, enhancing rainfall over the UK and over northwestern portions of Europe as we progress through the course of the summer. Might be wrong, but that's the ideas that I have. That's the ideas that I'm sticking to. We shall wait and see what happens. But certainly the Mann-Julian oscillation is starting to see a little bit of a change in the North Atlantic and European pattern, as well as, of course, up within the Arctic region. So trying to show you, as always, some differences. So this is the upcoming, this is the upcoming 5 day period. Look at where the positives are: North Atlantic, Greenland, into the Arctic region. And then if you look at the next clip, the next image, you can see quite the opposite in the 6 to 10. And this is the response of the Mann-Julian oscillation here. Looking back at the GFS, and you can see here that we have more areas of low pressure and disturbed weather cycling around that area of low pressure. Of course, the position of that low means that we're always allowing warm air to come up out from the south here. Looking at the 850 temperatures, and you can see what's going on. We'll skip back to the current setup, and you can see that we have, of course, the high to the north. But notice here, watch the area of low pressure, the greens now starting to migrate a little bit further north. And of course, look at all the warmer 850 now starting to lift into the central portion of Europe here. And the UK will always be flirting with that warmer. Notice here, Tuesday the 27th, we've got the 15 Celsius isotherm clipping the southeastern portion of the UK. That area of low pressure will probably keep Scotland cooler and fresher and more unsettled also. So this is the type of upper air pattern that I expect to see taking place as we continue to progress through the rest of June and into the heart of summer. So I think I've waffled on long enough. I do appreciate your view. No video, as I said, tomorrow, but I will have the global weather and climate report on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. Hope you enjoy the upcoming weekend. Stay safe, protect your skin, of course. It is very warm out there. That sun is about as strong as it's going to be for the overall year, of course. So please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you again, hopefully, on Sunday with the global weather report. Bye for now.